Today, my friends, we are here to break down Queen Charge Mass Hog at Town Hall 11. We've got a couple different examples here for you guys to teach you the best way to use this attack strategy, either with the Stone Slammer or with the Wall Wrecker. Let's go ahead and check out these attacks. So you guys are here to learn about how to use Queen Charge Hog Riders here at Town Hall 11. Well, this guide will simplify this strategy for you guys. So, what is about this strategy that makes it so strong? Now, this is obviously going to be using a Queen Walk. You're going to be able to get a lot of value from this and then start sending in your Hogs. But let's talk about what we want to get with our Queen Charge. So first of all, we actually want to get a couple things. We mainly want to get at least the Queen and CC down. Let me turn this into black. There we go. So these two things, but also getting the king is another really good thing. You want to take a look at where he is in comparison to the rest of the base, so that then you can notice whether or not your kill squad or your queen, aka your queen walk or queen charge, is going to get. Now, not just that, but you also want to take a look at where you want to walk to. If the queen is on the bottom section here, you wouldn't charge into this area here. You're just not going to get enough value. So instead of doing that, we can walk our queen this direction and charge her in here. What this offers us is all of this value here. That means that we don't have to get rid of that. We can set the funnel here for the queen so that then she charges into the base. So that then it's a little bit easier. We would use a king and maybe even a couple wizards to create that funnel. So then the king goes in that direction. So what we want is we want the queen to go in this direction, so we'll use a couple wizards here to clear that up, and maybe even a couple loons to take this out and maybe take that out. But then we also want to do it on the opposite side to where we're going to be breaking in with the Wall Wrecker, and we want some wizards and the king. The wizards will direct the king into that direction so that then we have the queen that moves in, and that's basically it in terms of the funneling. That's all we have to do. And then once we get into here, we're getting a lot of good value. We are already going to be able to pick off whatever is in this compartment and also probably this compartment as well. So that leaves us with this topmost portion of the base, meaning that all we have to really do is just do this C shape here and maybe have a few hogs split down and get the eagle. That's about it. That is what we are trying to look for. Now remember, we also have the Grand Warden's ability. His ability should be used almost anywhere. Act on it as like a heal spell, but it just keeps them invincible. It doesn't heal them. So that's where you're going to be placing your heal spells, where they are staying invincible and they should be getting healed up over that time in that heal spell. So there's a lot of things to keep in mind. There's a lot of things to pay attention to. Another thing is like where those traps are placed. There are a couple areas where tornado traps could be placed, so remember they could be placed in your multi-infernos or eagles. They're usually going to be in those two spots, since they're either going to be near the eagles, and that's usually going to be in between the multi-infernos, and you want to make sure though that you just know where those are. So of course they could be in one of these two areas here, but just keep that in mind when you guys are attacking. But it just gives you guys a really solid idea of where that tornado trap could be. I've seen this a lot from Town Hall 11 to Town Hall 13, and it's just pretty obvious now where a lot of those tornado traps are. It's just where is the most effective spot, so you really got to guess on that. So notice that the loons there created the funnel for the queen to start walking in this direction. That was the main thing I was talking about. So you got to create the funnel. That's why you got a wizard and a couple loons to take out that archer tower that creates the funnel on this side for the queen to walk in that direction. That's it. That's about it. It's very simple. Now, what about that air defense right there that you see? The queen's going to start working onto the outside, right? Well, what you're going to have to do in this case is drop a freeze. It's all right if you drop a freeze and you're not able to get your, or like you want to protect your healers. So you're making sure that you can protect them with the freeze spell is a really good idea. So there's just obviously those certain cases. Now you'll also notice that there are some wall breakers here, and you can use them if you like to get a little bit deeper into the base. Again, that's up to you. But we can, from what we can see here, is that we have our Stone Slammer, or I'm sorry, our Wall Wrecker that has Ice Golems, and those are a really good CC to bring. If we also notice here is that we also want to poison the enemy CC with the loon specifically, because that loon is really going to hit that queen hard, especially not under rage. So make sure that you're doing that. Also notice that the poison was also underneath the heroes. That's really good because it slows them down. If you didn't know that, then now you know. Now, dealing with the Lava Hound CC is fairly easy. Just make sure though that you have like a minion or a couple archers to protect your healers. Unless if they're pretty close, then yeah, they may move over there. It just really depends. But make sure that you at least bring a few minions or an archer or something like that. Now we're getting into the hog portion here. And the hog riders in this portion is you want to make sure that you have a group moving into the base with the Grand Warden, and then you have a couple more hogs on the opposite side going in and then grouping up entirely. So as we watch, heal spells should go over groups of hogs where they really need it. So for instance, an eagle drop, that's really where you want to place down your heals. Notice that as well, that there was a tornado trap right by that Inferno. Like I said, you got to make sure that you know those spots. Now, what about the Eagle Artillery? The Eagle is definitely a big structure to get, but you might not be able to get it with a Queen Walk. However, keeping your hogs alive as they move in with, say, the Grand Warden's ability is a really good idea, and that's something to keep in mind. Sometimes you may not have that Grand Warden's ability while the Eagle's still up, but that's completely fine because you should still be able to get rid of that eagle as long as you still have a heal spell up. So this gives you guys a little bit of a more simplified version on this. Just remember though, I didn't really mention heal spells too much, but I will explain them in the next example, so definitely watch the next one to listen a little bit more about that. So let's go ahead and take a look at that one. Now let's take a look at this base design right here, and actually let's take a look at the army composition as well. Now, we are seeing wall breakers again, but no wall wreckers. So, we're not using the stone slammer to get the queen in. It's highly unreliable, especially if the queen already takes out that defense that you are going to use to break into the base. So, it's not really reliable, but sometimes it can work. But let's also talk about the wall breakers and freeze. Now, this is going to be an extremely important thing to learn. You want to send at least one test wall breaker to go into the wall. Check if there are any small bombs, since those things will actually one-shot wall breakers. So keep that in mind, especially if one has been already triggered, and just before they, like, one or two of them drop the bomb, then they'll all get wiped out. So make sure that there is not a small bomb there, so that then you can send in the rest of them. This way, you can actually be able to open the compartment, obviously. But one other thing is the multi-Inferno. The multi-Inferno, because it hits 5 units, it will be able to knock out 5 of those 6 wall breakers. Or if you use a test wall breaker, it's going to melt all of your wall breakers. So, what you need to do is you need to drop a freeze as you send in your wall breakers, so that then that freeze spell keeps the Inferno frozen, and then the wall breakers will break open the wall. Another thing to make sure that you are looking at, though, is going to be the mortar and other splash buildings. So, as long as there's not like a Tesla there, or an archer tower, or a cannon targeting onto your wall breakers, then you should be fine. The mortar, on the other hand, you want to make sure that they've already had one shot off, so that then you can send in your wall breakers. So keep that in mind. Now, another thing that I didn't mention was the heal spells. I didn't really mention many of the spells, except for maybe like the poison. So, with this, you have your heal spells that are going to be covering your hogs, so we'll watch that as we go through. The rage spells, on the other hand, should be used with your Queen Walk. So if we take a look at this example here, what we want to do is actually, if we also take a look at this compartment as well, this is a really important compartment, and we'll talk about that as we go through. So when we're walking our queen in, you've got to take a look at compartments and where the queen and CC are. If we take a look at this base design here and where we want to walk, one of the biggest spots here that I see is that this long compartment right here. What this allows us to do is get the multi-Inferno. It allows us to get a wizard tower. We're going to be able to get the enemy queen from there, and also the enemy CC. Another thing is we're only dealing with 1 of 2 ground expos, which is better than dealing with 2 at the same time. So that's better than going in this direction. So that's definitely something to consider. So as we take a look at this example, one of the things is for sure is that we want to make sure that we are keeping that wall, or that Inferno frozen, so then we're not having to deal with the Inferno on the wall breakers. So, of course, right here, what you can see is that we're dropping a poison so that then it catches the lava pups and also the archers. The minion there, as you can see, will help protect the healers. So that's definitely something I mentioned in the last one. And you also notice that there were 2 rage spells being used almost in the same area. One is to deal with the queen, and also, well, one was to deal with the king, and also was able to deal with the enemy CC. The other one is to keep the queen alive underneath the eagle shots, and also against the enemy queen. So you're going to watch this. So make sure, though, that you don't have to use a freeze on top of that, especially if she's under a rage. She's staying alive thanks to that rage spell, and then takes out the queen. Once you've done that, simultaneously you can start in your hogs. You have the Grand Warden to go into the base with your Hog Riders. Popping the Grand Warden's ability early is sometimes a smart move if you choose to do so, but notice that a lot of the Hogs were dropped here. Now he's going to cut the funnel off with the Stone Slammer. So the job here of the Stone Slammer, if you plan on using it, is going to be to cut the funnel off for your Hogs. Keep them on the inside. The dead zone here is going to make sure that they stay on the outside and they don't move onto and stay on the inside and don't move on to the outside. That's what I meant. But then remember that you want to use your heal spells over the splash. Anywhere that, like, they're really low on health, like you see those red spots there, that's a good place to heal. Make sure that you are healing over the hogs as much as possible. Make sure, though, that you are paying attention to how many hogs are there and also their health, so that then you can precisely place the heal spell correctly, so that then you can get some sort of value from the heal spell. But this gives you guys a really solid explanation of it, and hopefully this is kind of helping you guys a little bit more, just really wanting to teach you guys this strategy, since it is really strong and it's actually very, very easy. Don't expect this to be hard. If you think that wall breakers are really difficult, bring a jump. If you think that you're going to need maybe no freezes or something like that, especially if you're bringing jump, there is really no reason to bring freeze. So if you're interested in not bringing wall breakers and bringing jump instead, you could. So let's go ahead and take a look at another example with the Queen Charge Mass Hog. So of course this is a little bit of a different base design. You'll notice that on this one is that the eagle again is smack dab in the center. You can't walk it with a queen. However, you may already notice these little opening spots here. We can take advantage of that by walking our queen into one of these and being able to pick off the enemy CC and also the enemy queen. The enemy king is also right there along with the Grand Warden, even though he's not entirely important to take out. So making sure, though, that we can get those 3 are huge. And then just noticing that this entry point here in this area, realistically what we're looking for is this area here. We're looking for all of this, basically. We're trying to get this, which is a lot of good value here, and we, give or take, we could get even more. But of course, like with anything, we really want to make sure, though, that we are getting value from our queen walk / queen charge portion. Then when we send in the hogs, we need to know where the wall or the town hall is when we use the wall wrecker, so that then we have the wall wrecker going in this way, and then we have hogs going in this way. That way, we have more hogs from the wall wrecker that join up with the hogs in the main group, and that's about it. And then we also send in our Grand Warden along with them as they move in through the base. So that's just a couple things to keep in mind, but hopefully that gives you guys a little bit of an opening into understanding how to use a wall wrecker here. I know we showcased 2 Stone Slammer ones already, so this is the second wall wrecker one that we're showing for you guys to hopefully understand this attack a little bit more, just a little bit easier to understand. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to start off with our queen walk. So we're sending in our queen, we're sending in our healers, and then we're using 1 test wall breaker to see if we can open that up. Now the Lava Hound does come out of that CC, and if you notice is that the CC is lurable, which means that 1 wall breaker is going to be able to pull the CC. Now sometimes that could be good, sometimes that could be bad, but notice that we also have a wizard just to help prevent the damage onto those healers. A good amount of that damage was prevented in this case. So as we see, we are making sure that the queen does walk in the right direction, even if we don't pull off the wall breakers. Notice that we're not using our wall breakers just yet, and we're kind of just waiting for either the queen to start stepping up, since her radius does exceed the outside, which is perfect for us. We don't want to use our queen's ability, so that's good, so that's why we use the free spell. Then you'll notice here is that her pathing's a little weird, so she'll target the Grand Warden and miss that elixir storage, but still getting value from there, and then using another wall break. Very lucky right here, since didn't have to use a freeze, and the one wall breaker under one rage will work. But notice here that the king is still alive, and the queen decided to move onto this direction here, meaning that this side here is still up, but she is actually getting this area, about this area here with the queen walk, which is actually still not bad. So it's still getting value from the queen charge portion. Still getting rid of the multi-inferno is always a plus in this case. Then we want to start sending in our hogs and the Grand Warden. Once we have a good foundation on to start to sending in our hogs, then we'll send in a couple groups on either side, which should meet up with the rest of the hogs. I believe that those are maxed. No, they don't look maxed, so that means that those are unmaxed hogs there that you see. So as they're moving in through the base, level 9 hogs with the level 7 hogs, as they move through the base, the Grand Warden's ability to keep everything alive. Notice that now, because that eagle's in the center, they're actually moving towards where that eagle is. And then as they're moving in through the base, the heal spell's being used, and also, if you choose to do so, a freeze over a multi-inferno to keep the hogs alive as well, if you have another free spell still up. But this is a very wrecked attack, and it gives you guys a solid explanation of how you guys use it with the wall wrecker. But I gave you guys 2 different ways of doing the queen walk hogs, and hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you guys did enjoy, why not leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you guys don't miss anything. Also, feel free to go ahead and join my community Discord, and also follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Those links are going to be in the description, and you guys can see everything on there as well on the screen on my overlay. Hopefully you guys did enjoy as well. Let me know if you guys want to see another video on Queen Charge Hogs, or if you guys want to see more videos like this, let me know. And also feel free to go ahead and join any of the clans I'm covering down below in the description. With that being said, that's going to do it, guys, for the video. I know I sound stuffy, but I'll be seeing you guys next time. Corrupt, signing out.